because distributed systems for redundancy and trust are obvious. And I think we're just a few decades behind, so we're going to implement this sooner than later, and all we're doing is capitalizing on this major wealth transfer when there's 7 to 8 billion people around the world that have not caught on yet. What's up, guys? Kevin Cage here with another XRP update. Let's dive in. Okay, let's kick things off on fiatleak.com. XRP is back to 60 cents. Now checking coinmarketcap.com. It is good to see that BTC is reclaiming that $32,000 price point yet again, up over 2.5%. However, some assets are now down 5 to 10%, whereas others are back up 10%. So an example of this would be HBAR is up about 10% on the day, which is nice. And let me show you the watch list really quick. Now, I do not own all of these assets, but I do use them to get additional insight on the chart. So I'll quickly scroll through these, and then I want to go over some very, very interesting news. Akash is up 15% today. Okay, first things first, PayPal ups the weekly limit on crypto purchases to $100,000. This is strictly for United States users with no annual restrictions. As we know, PayPal did open up this ability back in November with a weekly limit of $20,000. However, what's the catch? Well, although it's just fully custodial, you can only store your assets. Users still do not have the ability to even withdraw their funds, their crypto, outside into other wallets. You can't even get it out of PayPal. This is a walled garden. What is the point of cryptocurrency without interoperability? And I'm sure we're edging ever closer to interoperability between platforms and exchanges, but just wanted to point that out. And I'm still waiting for XRP to be here. Next up, guys, I have to read a few points in this AMB crypto article, and there's some very interesting stats in terms of Ethereum whale holders that I'd like you to pay attention to. The title, this is how confident whales are about Ethereum's price. Notice, with the recent pullback in the market, check this out, as per Santiment, ETH's top 10 largest addresses, or so-called whale accounts, the huge holders, now own nearly 20.58% of the total supply of Ethereum. Disclaimer, I'm also a bull on Ethereum. I do not think you can ignore the number of projects being built upon it, especially with the new updates. However, ETH holders criticize the company Ripple for their holdings, but Ripple's holdings are locked up via smart contracts and escrow. Hypocrisy. And obviously the same can be said for BTC miners as well. And I'm not here to take sides, I'm simply investing in technology that I believe in that will give me the highest upside. Right here, Ethereum has lost nearly 60% of its value since its peak back in May. But as you can see, whales are taking advantage of all of these dips, these accumulation phases with Bitcoin, ETH, you name it. And I think this is something to consider. Institutions are significantly more patient than retail investors, that the average retail investor will panic to try to make 2x or 5x in 3 months and they'll complain and give up, whereas an institution has no issue with even waiting 3 to 6 months to make millions of dollars. That's the difference. They buy low, they sell high, and they're willing to wait and wait and wait until it's the right time to strike, as well as take profit. It's not an IQ game, this is a psychological game. And for anybody that has been in the cryptocurrency market for the past several years and has seen exponential gains, I think you're well aware that it is bittersweet, because now you have to adjust and get used to, or more accustomed to, your portfolio fluctuating. When you had a $10,000 portfolio, yeah, 30% swing was painful. But when you have a $100,000 portfolio, you learn a new level of emotional maturity when it comes to your money, understanding that this is nothing but digits on a screen. When you can separate yourself from that, you can begin to really make money. Next up, guys, we have major RippleNet partner obtains Bank of Thailand approval. And as we recall, back in Fiat Leak, we can even see the Thai baht as one of the currencies listed right here. And this major Ripple partner would be one of the largest commercial banks in all of Thailand, SCB, Siam Commercial Bank. We talk about them a lot on this channel. And Ripple's instruments will be utilized by them in 12 countries. So essentially, Siam Commercial Bank has obtained a license for its operations with RippleNet, and I want to give a massive shout out to Crypto Eddie, as always, for finding this information. So this is a Siam Commercial Bank infomercial. We can see SCB Easy, an application, money transfer with RippleNet. Bank of Thailand authorized the service to leave the sandbox, so you can be confident. This includes 12 countries, and the currencies included right here include the US dollar, the British pound, the euro, and the Singapore dollar. And the fastest is England to Singapore in roughly 30 seconds, and this includes a live demo. Well done. And in that same video clip, so you can see for yourselves, look down below and it says runs on Ripple. So just another day where Ripple is slowly expanding throughout all of Southeast Asia. Next up, guys, we have a crypto derivatives exchange, Bybit, launches spot trading, including for XRP. They're one of the largest crypto derivative exchanges based in Singapore. Friendly reminder, Singapore is one of the nations declaring XRP to not be a security. And spot trading also includes BTC, ETH, and EOS, as well as Tether. And this isn't some tiny exchange, by the way. They're currently the second largest Bitcoin futures exchange in terms of open interest and trading volumes. So let's bring some of that volume over to the XRP ledger. And wanted to share this, I saw XRP Crypto Wolf share this, a Bloomberg article. Bitcoin found a happy match in the traditional 60-40 portfolio. Referencing, thanks to the Bitcoin rally since November, we can see that there's additional interest in the digital asset space, seeing crypto as a healthy investment vehicle. And history shows a 60-40 allocation to stocks and bonds that could be improved by some exposure to the digital asset market despite the risks. I agree. Even if you stick to the top 10 crypto assets alone, they've outperformed the S&P, all the indices, precious metals, you name it. And by just tweaking this global portfolio a little bit, and instead of just keeping stocks and bonds, let's welcome the new asset class that will swallow all others. As we can see here, but just a 5% allocation would have seen gains to the investor of 1.7 times bigger than using the standard mix. And considering the 5% inflation rate that we are facing today, I'm all about getting some additional exposure to the crypto market. But I have a higher risk tolerance than most, so not financial advice. And check this out, guys. Google is expanding their fintech ambitions and their footprint into Japan with this Pring acquisition. So they're looking to acquire a Tokyo-based cashless payment and settlement startup. Notice that payment companies, specifically with digital asset interoperability, are getting huge. The valuations are outlandish. If you saw yesterday's video with Revolut having a $33 billion valuation, what do you think happens for this one that Google is going to acquire right here? And we have to consider even Ripple acquiring Tranglo and their huge portion, or at least their stake, leveraging XRP in ODL. And they're looking to acquire them between $180 million to $270 million. And this is the Nikkei Asia reported. Now, before talking about R3, I do want to highlight this point by Anders L. I know we've talked about this a bunch, but it will go into my next point with R3. And we cannot forget about all the things that R3 is working on. I know all of you XTC holders love it, especially with trade finance. XTC is solely focused on that, and I wish them well. If they get liquidity, they have a real shot at changing the game. And what, do they have roughly maybe a $1 billion market capitalization today? And in my opinion, if they succeed, they are just getting warmed up. So this could be something there is not a lot of attention on. Could it be R3 had an option for 5 billion XRP back in the day per the agreement that they signed with Ripple? So essentially R3 had their hand in the cookie jar. They were promised 5 billion XRP, but they didn't fulfill the terms, and then they came back and said, hey, we still want our XRP, but they didn't comply. So we assumed that there was still settlements, and it seems like they maybe did settle for just 1 billion XRP. Nonetheless, that's 1% of the entire supply of XRP. And XRP was one of the first digital assets named to be able to be used by Corda. And yes, I know it's agnostic, it can use any digital asset, but I found it to be unbelievably interesting that they named XRP to be first. Perhaps because they have a vested interest and own a lot of it as well. And they understand its capabilities in being extremely scalable and efficient in terms of payments, specifically cross-border. Back in 2018, Ripple and the R3 settlement. And as we can see, R3 had no plans or intentions to directly compete with Ripple. Now, friendly reminder, per yesterday's video, Yoshitaka Kitao, say that 5 times fast, the CEO of SBI, they are huge out of Japan. And yes, they own a huge share of both Ripple and R3, arguably the biggest shareholder of both organizations. And he said the dream is to create a synergy between these groups. Ripple for cross-border transfers, and R3 for almost everything else. Capital markets, trade finance, insurance, big money, real estate, any type of additional derivative products on top of that. And Mr. Kitao did in fact say this on video. So R3's endgame apparently was to unveil a product that directly competed with Ripple's cross-border payments technology. Interesting. And what could that be? And last I checked, R3 is still hard at work, published June 2021, just a month ago today. R3 and the ASEAN, that's how I pronounce it, network partner on CBDC sandbox for banks and fintechs. In this ASEAN Financial Innovation Network, AFIN is partnering with enterprise software firm R3 on a central bank digital currency sandbox. And remember this, 1 month after the famous crash in 2020, NASDAQ partners with the blockchain firm R3. and says it's great for crypto. This is essentially where Wall Street meets cryptocurrency, guys. In my opinion, R3 is kind of like the Wall Street boys, the Lehman Brothers. So they're definitely not some group to ignore by any means, and I'm wishing them well. In my opinion, this will be one of the huge organizations responsible for bringing institutions into this space. And so now what we have to notice here is this is actually expanding beyond the realm of just government into the private sector, where there's a lot more money and funding and attention. They have a lot more leniency and they can move faster. Why do you think Ripple, initially a very small fintech, was able to move so quickly and dominate? Because it's able to move faster than a lot of these archaic dinosaur banks that were built on technology that is 40, 50 years old. The private sector has more funding. They can do additional funding. They just move faster and faster and faster. Something to note is AFIN, a nonprofit organization, was founded by the Monetary Authority of Singapore. Remember, this is the Central Bank of Singapore. They've called XRP not a security. They're very forward-thinking and progressive in terms of crypto and blockchain adoption. And the whole history of Singapore is fascinating. And a plethora of additional countries and markets to consider, such as Thailand, Philippines, Malaysia, all places where we're developing, and Vietnam, all places where ODL corridors for XRP are being developed today. According to BIS, Bank of International Settlements, the central bank of all central banks, they survey over 60 central banks, and the vast majority, meaning 86%, are exploring central bank digital currencies. Cool to see that the public side is moving, but we know how slow they are, so let's get the private sector to do some innovation and move a lot faster. And remember, in terms of CBDCs, there's different types. There are retail and wholesale. And I could give a dozen examples right now of Ripple and Ripple employees saying that they're going after wholesale, aka big money. High value transfers eventually. Initially, yes, low value payments to develop liquidity. And of course, we're sick of talking about the G20 making promises to enhance cross-border payments, but we will see. And the BIS report also says 28% of 50 central banks, this is important, are studying or making CBDCs interoperable by forming multi-CBDC arrangements. And now I can see why David Schwartz is so excited, CTO of Ripple, about the privacy features for the XRP ledger. And of course, discussing central bank digital currency APIs available to banks and fintechs on this APIX, they're also driving the development of faster and more secure payment settlements across the world. So my question is, which assets will see the highest level of adoption in terms of settlement for payments, guys? One of the most immediate, obvious use cases for crypto today. Before we can get into all the fun, interesting use cases. Will it be XRP? Will it be XDC? Will it be XLM? Let me know down below. And of course, many of us have seen this, but I did want to highlight this. The ECB, European Central Bank, is looking to possibly issue a digital euro. To me, this is inevitable. I don't know why they keep putting out these pieces of news every few weeks or every few months saying we're looking to issue central bank digital currencies. It will happen. It's just a matter of time. Looking at how a digital euro could be designed and distributed to everyone in the euro area, blah, 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 blah. Oh, and speaking of David Schwartz, CTO at Ripple, in quotes from March this year, the central bank digital currency private ledger ensures transaction privacy and security, controls combined with the reliability and payments proficiency of the XRP ledger, the best of both worlds. Now, the typical person that is not well versed with XRP, they don't even look into what the XRPL can do. They don't know about the native DEX. They don't know about the privacy features. They don't understand the benefits of escrow. They don't even know what interledger protocol is. An interledger protocol combined with XRP, the digital asset, combined with the XRP ledger, is truly a recipe for success. And as we can see, Ripple is trending yet again on Twitter. I'd prefer to be XRP trending, but of course with the ongoing lawsuit, I know a lot of interest is happening, and the community is retweeting, spreading awareness, and one of the best things we can do, instead of complaining, instead of bickering and arguing, is support one another and bring awareness to this space. Let your voice be heard in a mature way. Do not attack the SEC, but let them be heard. I'll retweet your tweets. If you tag me, let me know. I'll try to retweet anything I see. As long as it's mature and somewhat eloquent and getting to the point of what we want for the XRP community, we want clarity. You'll have my full support. Because I know a lot of people are in the community, we're on Twitter, we watch videos, we know there's a lot of us. But let's do something powerful together instead of waiting. Let's make our voice heard to the right people. Also, another CoinDesk article, guys, Japan increasing efforts to regulate digital currency. And remember, their financial services agency, FSA, just like the FCA of UK, declared XRP to not be a security as well. I hope Ripple doesn't get mad at me for saying this on YouTube, but me personally, I just want clarity sooner than later. If Ripple has to pay a fine just like all these other blockchain companies did for things they did in 2014 or 2015, so be it. As long as we get XRP to be determined to not be a security today going forward, that's all I want. I want clarity for the space because adoption will catapult. There will be nothing holding XRP back. There will be no more glass ceiling holding the price down. So the Japanese FSA has essentially created a division to oversee DeFi, decentralized finance, the rise of DeFi. If you guys do not look into the amount of TVL, total value locked, I encourage you to go type that in on Google, DeFi TVL, and you're going to see billions upon billions. And yes, this number will go into the trillions in the future. This private money is getting a lot of attention, and even Japan's well aware. New forms of private money could disrupt the financial system for Japan, as well as the entire world for that matter. And they say regulation would complement and help the Bank of Japan's efforts on central bank digital yen, or the central bank digital yen. So this is a global initiative of adoption of blockchain-based technology. And I'm not screaming Bitcoin, I'm not screaming it's, some random coin that you found on Binance Smart Chain. I am saying that blockchain technology, DLT, is the umbrella term, is going to radically change the game. It's obvious. It's not me trying to shill investments to make money. It's because distributed systems for redundancy and trust are obvious. And I think we're just a few decades behind, so we're going to implement this sooner than later, and all we're doing is capitalizing on this major wealth transfer when there's 7 to 8 billion people around the world that have not caught on yet. So my job is simple. I buy things, I hold them, and I sell at a higher price. If they fluctuate, if they take longer than I want, so be it. I'll be profitable, and my rate of return will still outpace inflation. Okay guys, let's finish up with some bullish information. I'm going to try to save the best for last going forward. I'll try to remember, but check this out. So, friendly reminder, Greg Kidd, I have his LinkedIn right here. I posted this on Twitter for anybody curious. He has been quoted to say, per the interviews, where's it at? Right here, and I retweeted this as well, the Greg Kidd interview that Digital Asset Investor did a while ago. And you can hear it, listen to this whole thing, I encourage you. And he goes on to say, he owns 1% of the entire float, meaning 1% of all XRP. And he said when he was discovering XRP during a poker game that it was like Moses parting the sea. And you really think he wants it to stop at $1? If you watch that interview, it will blow your mind. And yes, you will be unbelievably bullish on XRP. So however you feel about XRP in the short term, that is fine. But for many reasons, XRP will continue to be one of my largest holdings because I've just seen too much. And this is literally 1/1,000,000% of the iceberg of how deep it really goes. As we know, Greg Kidd, CEO of Global ID, which is a behemoth, early investor in so many things, including Twitter, of course. He was the chief risk officer for Ripple right away, and before that he was a consultant for PFG. And I always found it to be interesting why Ripple, right out of launch, was already in talks with the Federal Reserve. Perhaps it was thanks to him and his time on the Federal Reserve Board before that. And again, I'm quoting a lot of people, even people that were at Ripple. It's not a question of if, it's a matter of when for XRP adoption. You don't have to listen to me, but listen to the people that are in the know, in talks with these central banks and building today. And I wanted to check in on this poll. So does R3 own a bunch of digital assets today? 80% plus said yes, duh, obviously. And even Stored XRP right here believes that R3 at least has 1 billion XRP. That's my personal belief as well. And he goes on to say R3 should also be incentivized to push XRP into more products that they're offering to their clients. Once XRP has clear positive regulatory clarity in the United States, and with the help of SBI out of Japan, it should be game on. And I absolutely agree with the sentiment, unless, plot twist, they've sold all their XRP already from 2019. I highly doubt that, thanks to Mr. Katao and their plans for XRP as well. Nonetheless, guys, I hope you enjoyed. All links are in the top of this video description. Be sure to like and subscribe, and I will catch you in the next video.